Hello friends. Happy Tuesday. I wanted to pop in. Don't mind my cats here. She was down slapping me and clawing at me and meowing at me, so I needed to bring her up for lovin's. But I have been reading Haunting Adeline a bit today, and boy oh boy, you guys. I was thoroughly unprepared for what a dark romance truly meant. Like, so far it's been like a little creepy, like he's a stalker and she's a famous writer and whatnot, like an indie writer. And I was like, okay, she's got a stalker, that's a little creepy, right? Stalkers in real life, horrifying. Stalkers when they're in books and they're like apparently really hot, whole different story, I guess. Tell me why I'm not mad about him being a stalker. Does it make me feel unsettled in myself and my morals a little bit? Am I regretting it? Not at all. Am I also terrified sometimes? Yes. But it's fantastic. I really like him so far. I really like our main girl. She's great. Her best friend's amazing. I freaking love Dea. She's so funny. And then we have Addie, who's our main girl, Adeline. And then Zaid, which everybody calls him Z so far. But I got to a couple of explicit scenes. The first one involving gunplay, which I am not one who has ever come across anything about gunplay before in my life, and it was quite shocking, to say the least. Mind you, I was reading during downtime at work. How much I had to control my facial expressions is also unsettling. And it was a lot to take in. No pun intended. It wasn't me, but it was. We're gonna just forget I said that. But anyway, I'm on page, let me see if my app on my phone, can you stop biting me please? My cat's being super lovey. You can see her kissing my hand. Let me see. Yeah, it's not showing me the correct page. I think I'm in like page the 200s range. 230 maybe, I think, is where I'm at now. I started on chapter 11, I believe, and now I think I'm on chapter 20, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, I'm enjoying it so far. I like the story behind it as well, like, aside from, like, the rated R stuff. The story itself is really cool. I really like her relationship with her best friend, and I enjoy like getting the snippets of her great-grandma's life as well. So that's been really interesting. It's like interesting to see things that unfolded then and the things that are unfolding in her life now, and how they're kind of, it's like history repeating itself. Like, her great-grandmother also had a stalker, but she fell in love with her stalker, and it was all very interesting things that you get to see. And it's like through her grandmother's diary pages, like at the end of each chapter there's a diary page that lists a little situation that happened in her great-grandmother's life, which I think is really, really interesting, and I've really been enjoying that. So that was really cool to see. But yeah, I just wanted to pop in and give you guys a little update on where I stand with the book so far. But I am gonna go read, maybe have a little apple cider, because, you know, it's fall. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow. So, I'm reading Haunting Adeline, and I'm, like, on page 316, which I read quite a bit last night. Well, not last night, I read quite a bit yesterday. I read like 100 pages at work yesterday, and then I read a couple chapters last night. This book is wild, but I'm at a part where Zaid's two lives kind of meet. His job life and Adeline kind of clash, and they get invited because this senator thinks that Adeline and Zaid, aka his name, the senator thinks his name is Zach, but thinks that they're in a relationship. So they get invited to this party, and he just came to pick her up for the party, and he picked out her dress and everything, but he came to pick her up, and she says, "The black suit does nothing but darken his aura. Zaid is Hades stepping out from the underworld and wreaking havoc on my quiet little life." Like, that's just... I don't know what it is about that, but I really like it. Maybe it's because I really love, like, Greek mythology and stuff, so when you throw a little bit of Greek mythology in there, I'm like, oh, we like that. He's just so confident. He's holding her hand, looking at it, and she goes, "The hell are you doing, Zaid? Just trying to picture what ring would look best on your finger." What? Okay, friends, I am pretty far through Haunting Adeline now. I'm right there. I'm on page 462, chapter 33. For anybody who has read this, House of Mirrors, wasn't ready, wasn't prepared. But wow. The story to this is really good. Like, aside from all of the smut and questioning my morals while reading this, Zaid, love him. Scared of him, but I love him. This book is fantastic so far. I really like the story. I like the other parts of the plot beyond the two of them, like the trying to solve her great-grandmother's murder and the sex trafficking, like, ring that's involved and stuff. All of that, like, adding into their story is just really good, and it's not... I was very worried to read this book, and, like, don't get me wrong, it definitely can be really dark at times, and it can really feel heavy, but the book itself is really good, and I'm sure I'm going to end up reading more dark romances. Like, this is my first truly dark romance, because the only other ones that I've read are Butcher and Blackbird and Leather and Lark, and those are more, like, comedic, funny. This is just I know there's trigger warnings, and I read the trigger warnings, and I just don't think you're ever fully prepared the first time you read a dark romance. I'm really enjoying the book, and I really like the characters. I still really love her best friend Dea. It's really good so far. I don't know. I don't know where it's sitting rating wise for me, but I am enjoying it. Like I said, I'm like 2/3 of the way done. I have like 100 and something pages left. That I hopefully will be able to read between tonight and tomorrow. I've read like over 100 pages already today. It just isn't something that I was really expecting, you know? Like, I wasn't fully prepared for everything this book was going to touch on. And if you do plan to pick up this book, if you haven't already, please, please, please read the trigger warnings. Like, there is some stuff throughout this that can be, I can understand why it's hard for people. The actual sex stuff hasn't been like, obviously it's a little bit more violent just because of who he is and stuff. And it's not something like it's not the kind of smut that I'm used to. Like, I'm used to ACOTAR. Like, this is very different than ACOTAR or like Throne of Glass. But I don't know, just really pay attention to your trigger warnings in this, because like I said, there is sex trafficking and like child abuse is touched on and stuff like that. So just make sure that you're taking care of your mental health and you're like paying attention to those trigger warnings if you want to pick it up. It is a really good story though so far. I am really enjoying it. I'm thinking right now it's probably sitting at about a 3.75. And I think it would be higher. I don't know. It might be higher by the end of the book. I think it's just so different from what I normally read that I think I'm just kind of, I think I might just have to sit on it for a little bit and really decide what my rating is. But yeah, hopefully I'm going to be going on a walk here in a few minutes, and then I will probably stream for a little bit, and then I'm going to try to pick up the book for a little bit longer tonight before bed and see how far I get, and whatever I don't finish tonight, I will hopefully be able to finish tomorrow. But it is officially October 30th. It is Wednesday. It is the next day. And we're making progress. But I do have to hop off because apparently my battery is about to die. But I will be back. Probably I will check in with you guys again tomorrow to let you know where we are with the book and if it's done. But until then, I'm going to go for a walk and then read some more. Hello, my loves. It is officially Tuesday. I had quite the day today. I'm not going to lie. I worked, and then I got out of work at like 3 so that I could go and vote, which I did go vote. I'm not going to talk politics on this channel, but I did go and get my voting done today. And then I was supposed to get my nails done today, right? They're still Halloween-y. I drove all the way there, like 40 minutes to my nail place because I love my nail person. She's a close friend of the family, and she does a really good job. And I love her, so I drive all the way out there. My appointment's tomorrow, so that's really sad. But I have to drive back out tomorrow. But on my way home today, I came up to an intersection, and a car accident had just happened, and an SUV had hit a motorcyclist. Everybody was okay from what I could see. I did pull over, and I sat with them until the paramedics and police officers and stuff showed up. But everybody was able to talk and communicate, and everybody was okay. Like, the motorcyclist was having a little bit of trouble moving, but like walking, but he was still able to. He was just having some trouble. And then the mom and daughter who were in the other SUV, the mom was having a panic attack, which is obviously, you know, who wouldn't in that situation. But everybody seemed okay, and I ended up having to sit there for a little bit just because all the emergency vehicles came, and I ended up being blocked in. So I sat there for like a half an hour, 40-ish minutes, between helping them and then just waiting to be able to get my car out so that I could leave. And now I'm home. As you've seen in the clip previous to this, my 2 books for the week are Powerless and Wayward. Well, that changed. I'm not reading those. I might not get both of those done this week because, well, you see, I started hunting Adeline because I finished haunting Adeline and I could not pick this one up. Like, it ended on such a cliffhanger and I needed to know what happened and I needed to continue this. So I did, which means my TBR has changed slightly for November. Instead of Apprentice to the Villain as my sequel book, I'm making it this one. So I still have 10 books instead of 11 on my physical TBR. I'm just going to save the Apprentice to the Villain for a different time. Because I was torn between this one and Apprentice to the Villain, but because I hadn't finished haunting Adeline, but because I hadn't finished haunting Adeline yet, I didn't want to just say that I was going to do this one in case, like, I didn't end up liking that one. I'm sorry if you hear scratching. But I did start this. This is not, I'm farther than this. I think I'm on like 2, let me pull out my Kindle and check for you. I've been reading it a lot on my Kindle because I've been reading it when I haven't been at home. Also my Kindle is just a lot easier for me to hold. I have fibromyalgia. So I'm on page 271 of this. Chapter 20 already. I started this on Sunday. And we're on chapter 20 at the moment, which is, we're flying through this. I'm really, really enjoying it so far. It's definitely darker, much darker than Haunting Adeline. It is really good though. Like, I do enjoy the book. It's definitely taking some getting used to. So that's how far I actually am. This is the front. So I have this much left, this little chunky section. But I am enjoying it. I really love Addie. Like, how, this is gonna be like I'm gonna try to make this like a non-spoiler vlog. But as the trigger warnings do say, like, there is much darker content in this book than there is in the first one. So there are some things that I'm definitely having, I don't want to say trouble reading, but it is definitely hitting a little bit more. It's a much heavier topics, and it's much, it takes a lot, because when you think about that kind of thing and think about it happening to, like, it's actually something that happens to people in real life, and I really wish I could be in a position where I could help those people. Like, reading these books has really just, it makes me extremely thankful, more than I already was, for those people who do hunt down these sex trafficking rings and the skin trade and stuff, and they do these things to try to help these poor people who were, these women and children who were stolen from their families and lose everything about themselves. But I really, really like the representation, and I really love Addie. She's, even when she's having the hardest time, you can still see that fire in her that she's trying to fight, even when she seems like she isn't. And I really like that. It's nice to see that she's not, like, obviously things are getting to her, and obviously, like, she is having a hard time with stuff, and she misses Zaid and all these things. But it's really nice to see that she's not just shutting down. Like, it's nice to see her still, even though she's doing what she's told, and, like, the things that she needs to do to survive, she's doing them to survive. Like, you can still see that fight in her, and you can still see, like, especially with her inner monologues and stuff that she's doing, and, like, the letters and things, because in this book, the first book, the letters that you see on the pages, like, I'll give you guys an example for anybody that hasn't read the book who's thinking of reading it. At the end of each chapter, that's not a good example, that's just scribbling. At the end of each chapter, there's like a little note page that's basically like a journal entry. The first book, it was Addie's great-grandma Gigi's journal. In this one, Addie finds a journal from another girl that used to be in this house, in this madam's group of girls. And she finds it, and the first handful of journal entries are from that girl. And then from then on, Addie decides she's gonna write her story in it as well. And you just get to see some things through these journal pages that it really lets you into her mindset and into how she's feeling and how she's thinking. But then also, like, outside of that, in the chapters themselves, you're seeing, like, she says one thing, like verbally speaks it to who's around her, but she has her inner monologue, like, right before it, saying the complete opposite, and, like, of her fighting and, like, the fire that she still has. So I really like that, and I'm enjoying seeing the dual point of view between her and Zaid, and seeing the different paths that they're on, with him trying to find her and her trying to just survive and do things to get to the point where she can help him find her. Because right now she doesn't really have a way to do that. Like, she's been stuck in one place for a long time, and it's been on purpose because they don't want him to find her. But overall, it's really good. I just really couldn't, like, I was planning on starting one of the other books when I finished Haunting Adeline, and then I literally finished that. I looked at my fiance, and I was like, no, I'm gonna read the other one. And I went and grabbed it off my shelf and immediately started reading it. Like, I needed to know what happened. And I'm flying through it. Like I said, I started it Sunday evening, and I've read a little bit here and there throughout the day, but most of my reading's been done in the evenings, and I'm already almost halfway done. So I'm hoping to finish this one and at least one of the other books this week. I don't know if it's going to be possible, though. It might only be the one book, because this book is almost 700 pages, I think. I think it's like 600 and, yeah, it's 600, almost 650 pages, or 650 exactly, maybe. 649 pages. And that's a lot for me to read with, like, on top of my full-time job and on top of streaming. I really wish I had more time to read. It's just something that I'm gonna have to work out at some point, but I really have been enjoying this, and I just wanted to come in quick today and give you guys just a little recap now that I've made it part of the way through a book. I'm gonna go and read for a bit now, now that I'm home, and see how much farther I can get tonight, and then I will update you guys again tomorrow when I'm a little bit farther in. Hello, my loves. Hello, my besties. It is Friday, the 8th of November. I am still trucking through Hunting Adeline. I am on 515, page 515. I'm 75% of the way through. If you couldn't see it. I don't know if you can see. And I gotta say, sweet, sweet revenge. Like, if anybody hasn't read this book, obviously the beginning of the book is, I don't know how the rest of the book is, but the beginning of the book is pretty hard to get through. There's obviously essay involved and abuse and things like that, so it's much darker than the first book. Like, the first book was a little scarier just because of the, like, stalking aspect, but this one is just darker. Like, there's just a lot more in it that's really hard topics to actually read about. I'm able to read through them. Like, I'm fine. It's not something that really is a trigger thing for me. But for anybody who does want to read this book, please, please, please check the trigger warnings, because this book is not going to be for everybody. This duet is not going to be for everyone. And please, if you're getting into dark romance, please don't start with Haunting Adeline. I recommend something more like Butcher and Blackbird or maybe Lights Out. I haven't read Lights Out or listened to it yet. I am going to listen to it on audiobook because Larry reads. She is one of my favorite booktubers, and she listened to it during October, and she really, really liked the audiobook. So I found it through Hoopla with my library card. So I am going to listen to it on there, and she said it's a really, really good narration. But apparently that's a good one to start in on dark romance because it's got more funny aspects to it. But yeah, those are just some updates. I am really enjoying seeing the story that's unfolding in Hunting Adeline. I'm really enjoying her trying to find her way back to herself after everything she's been through. I really enjoy that, and I'm enjoying the impact that Zayd is having on her and helping her do that. So that's been really good, and somebody from the first book has come back into this one, and she's really just a fun little character to add on. So I don't want to give too much away because I don't want to ruin it for anybody who's going to read it, but that's just a little update from me. I am going to try to read some more of this tonight and hopefully have it finished by the end of the day tomorrow. Hello, my loves. Hello, my besties. Hi, hi. It is Thursday. What day of the week is it? Thursday, the 14th of November. I'm currently going through editing my Haunting and Hunting Adeline video and realized I didn't actually record anything for when I ended Hunting Adeline. So here's the lovely book. I'm sorry, I'm a bit under the weather today, hence why I'm home. I'm working from home and editing and things. But I finished this book on the 10th, I believe. This book, this duet was really good. I don't want to say I had trouble reading it. Like, there are definitely some hard topics throughout these books, especially this one. This one has a lot of hard topics in it. It talks about SA, it talks about abuse, it talks about violence, and you really get to see. I'm trying to do this without it being a spoiler vlog or a spoiler episode thing. Basically, in Hunting Adeline, we leave off Haunting Adeline, where Addie's been taken, and Zayd was trying to take down a sex trafficking ring, and the place he goes was apparently a setup. So we leave off the last book not knowing what's happening with Zayd, and all we know is that Addie's been taken. We don't know really by who or where. So starting this book out, you are with Addie and her captors, the people who kidnapped her, and they have her at this doctor, but he like used to be a doctor, but he wasn't a good doctor. Like, he was basically let go from the hospitals because he wasn't allowed to treat patients the way he wanted to treat them, because he wanted to do it in bad ways. So they take her to this guy to heal her up after the accident that they caused in order to capture her. And she spends a little while there trying to heal up. And then we follow her going to this house where there's other girls who are part of this sex trafficking ring who have been taken as well. And you go through her time there, and basically her learning how to be a complacent in this ring. And she has a madam who is awful, and this madam and her brother run this house. They own this house, and they are both, the woman's not as brutal, but her brother Rocco is very, very brutal. He is one of those types who, he punishes people with SA. And you see a lot of really hard topics in this book. You see all this trauma and abuse that she goes through. And then you see the healing afterward and the trying to get herself back and try to kind of not fully get rid of what happened to her, but be able to continue living with that trauma that she went through, but trying to get back to herself and who she is while keeping the strength that she had to get through this. And the whole story follows her going through this, and Zaid trying to take down the person who is the head of this whole thing. Like, this person, it's called the Society that takes her, and they are like the overlying thing of the sex trafficking. And it's basically run by this person who has full control of like the government and all these wealthy people who are really disturbed, and they enjoy using SA against women and children and things like that. But this is just following her through all that, and this one is much more dark than Haunting Adeline. Haunting Adeline was only dark in the sense that she has a stalker. Like, Zaid is her stalker, and he's like, it is a little touchy because it technically is SA in that one too, but it's like he does force it on her in Haunting Adeline, but she also wants it. Like, she's trying to fight her attraction to him and trying to fight the draw that she feels to him. Whereas in this one, in Hunting Adeline, it's all very much against her will. And it's not something she's not trying to fight these feelings of desire and the want for these people. She is just trying to fight to survive. And, like, I guess this is slightly a spoiler, but not really. Like, she does get rescued. And that's how her healing and stuff begins. But you see her throughout this book go from being this victim to fighting and becoming stronger and getting back to herself, but being a stronger version of herself and being able to defend herself and fight for herself. Which I really, really enjoyed seeing that. I enjoyed seeing her be able to take the things that happened to her and be able to use it to make herself stronger. I think that's a really important thing to see, especially when you see people who survivors of this kind of thing. Like, I think that's a very true sentiment to what happens to people in the real world, like outside of books and stuff. It's going through the battle, it's going through trying to get through that healing process and becoming stronger and being able to use the things that happen to you to be a stronger person, and just really appreciate things. And I liked seeing that touch of it in this book. Overall, the settings were really, really good for this book. The way that H.D. Carlton describes the house that she has to stay in, and that weird doctor's office that she is healing at in the beginning, and like all the stuff that she goes through, it's very descriptive. Please excuse my weird little hiccupy burpy thingies. I'm so sorry, I'm tired, I don't feel well. You see, like, you really can get a clear image of the places that you're in during this book with how clearly descriptive that she is. You can really get a feel for what the house looks like and all the people that she comes across, and you really start to kind of, like, how she writes, you can start to feel the anxiety and anxiousness, like, seep in. Like, there's a part in this book where it's called The Culling. And basically, all these rich buyers who are wanting to come check out the latest stock, essentially, come to the house, and these girls participate in this culling with these buyers, and these gentlemen essentially hunt them through the woods. Like, the girls get sent off into the woods. They have to last an hour. If they make it the full hour and they're still hidden somewhere in the woods and they haven't been caught, they're safe. If they make it to the safety location within the hour, they're safe and can't be harmed. If they get caught, aka the buyers are sent in after them with crossbows. If they are shot in any shape or form, they are not safe and they are not worthy of being purchased by these men. And you really, during that section, feel like you're with them, like you're running through these woods and you're being hunted, and you can... She has a really good way of putting you into the story and making you feel like you're a part of it. It's just very, very dark. So if you are looking to pick up this duet, please, please keep in mind the trigger warnings. I know I've been saying it every time I do an update, but I really do truly mean that. I am not somebody who really gets triggered by this kind of stuff. It isn't something that I've ever gone through, thankfully. And I don't have a visceral reaction to it. Like, obviously it's not something that I'm like comfortable with, but it's something that I'm able to read through it and not feel overwhelmingly sick from it, you know? But please make sure you check your trigger warnings, because there is a lot of stuff involved and the scenes are explicitly described, and I want... Your mental health matters. I want you to take care of yourself and not just read this because I say they're good. Like, I gave both of these books 5 stars, I believe, and I may end up... I think I'm gonna start getting a little bit better with my ratings from now on. Like, 5 stars for me are supposed to be they're really good and I can't stop thinking about them, like I'm completely obsessed. And it is really good, and I like ate these books up and I got through them pretty quickly. But I don't think it's on the same level as like ACOTAR or Throne of Glass or Powerless. Like, Powerless you'll be seeing coming up. I did end up picking it up at the beginning of the month. And I flew through that. But we'll talk about that in an upcoming episode. But this one I think is probably more akin to like a 4.75, and Haunting Adeline's probably a 4.5. Because they were really, really good and I did really love them, but it's not something that I'm going to be thinking about constantly. It's not going to become my whole personality like ACOTAR did. And Powerless, I don't think is going to become my whole personality, but I am thinking about it quite a bit. I did just finish it yesterday, but I really, really enjoyed that book. I flew through it. So this doesn't give me that same exact feeling, so I think my overall rating might change for these. I think I might make these end up being like 4.5 and 4.75. I think those are going to be like my ratings for these. But they were really, really good, and I did really enjoy them. So yeah, I did come across, so it talks about in this book that Addie, when she gets to this house, she gets a barcode tattooed on her arm because, you know, she's property now and she's going to be sold. So she gets she has a barcode that has to be tattooed into her arm. And when she gets rescued, she essentially gets a tattoo to cover it, and it's a rose with a vine that wraps around her arm, and then the rose is there. And I really, really love the idea of that, like of a rose wrapping around your wrist with its vine. And then there's a quote on like the very last page of this book that I absolutely love, and I would really love to get tattooed on me. And it's, "Heaven isn't a place you go to when you die. It's inside the person that's worth dying for." And I think that's really an important sentiment. Like, heaven's just not somewhere you go after death. It's literally something you can achieve during life. And I thought that was a really beautiful quote, and I would love to get a tattoo of that at some point. But overall, I really, really enjoyed this duet. I don't think I was fully prepared for what dark romance truly meant. Like, the only other dark romance that I've even touched on is Butcher and Blackbird and Leather and Lark, and those are much less dark than this. So I don't think I was fully prepared, but I don't think that these deterred me at all from reading more dark romance. I think it actually probably pushed me to read some more because they were really good books. And though the topics can be really difficult and stuff, I really did enjoy the books. So, like I said, Haunting Adeline is going to be like a 4.5 star, and Hunting Adeline is going to be a 4.75. I really enjoyed both of them, and I just wanted to come in and give my last little update for this because I am editing and realized I like last updated in an update for Hunting Adeline. I didn't actually come through and record anything for finishing it. So I wanted to come in and give you guys that. I hope you guys stay happy, healthy, and safe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.